Aaron, welcome aboard Comicron 2.
This is,
Unimpressive and confusing, I know.
You seem happy about it. It's just a room with grid lines.
Because now I can show off why it is like that. Computer, decloak console. With everyone else on the team gone, I decided to go back to the original console style for Comicron 1. A single control port that, well, handles everything.
And what if it gets damaged?
There are other consoles inside of the walls that will come out if this one is damaged. Otherwise, in standby mode, it's cloaked from view as you saw. But the real fun thing about this bridge is holograms. Using the holodeck technology we salvaged from Comicron 1, I can make the bridge look like anything I want. So if, say, I'm feeling nerdy, or if I'm feeling nostalgic for the old bridge, or if I just want something weird, or if I just want the comforts of home, and we are in good shape. The console will always remain regardless of the setting, and if power requires the setting to be switched off, the console will remain intact.
Beginning to wonder why you don't just turn your house into a spaceship.
I've had bad experiences with that. Still, everything seems to be ready for our maiden flight, so have a seat. To truly christen things, my first review from Comicron 2. I'm gonna need you to get out of there. Hello and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Time for another issue of Ultimate Power, where everyone gets a chance to be drawn like they're experiencing the worst constipation ever.
For those of you just joining us, Ultimate Power is a crossover between Marvel's Ultimate Universe and the Supreme Power Universe, two lines of books all about reimagining Marvel characters in a modern, sometimes darker context. Usually that means cannibalism for some reason. This 9-issue crossover miniseries has so far wasted about 3 issues worth of time in one of the worst examples of decompressed storytelling ever, stretching a very thin plot so far even thinner. Reed Richards, desperate to find a cure for Ben Grimm's thingness, sent out a few multidimensional probes into other realities in the hopes that they would somehow allow him to find said cure. Unfortunately, one of those probes entered the Supreme Power Universe and brought along with it some kind of weird organic mass that is quickly consuming their Earth and converting the oxygen in the atmosphere into something more suiting it. Naturally, this might be kind of a major bummer for the people of their world, so they followed the signal the probe was transmitting back to the Ultimate Universe and engaged in battle with several superheroes. At the end of the last issue, Reed surrendered himself to them and went along willingly, although Nick Fury promised to assemble a team to retrieve him. It was also our first opportunity to look at the artwork of notorious artist Greg Land, known for tracing, and being so terrible about his tracing that he will constantly reuse the same shots over and over and over. Behold the equivalent of making entire comics out of stock clip art. Let's dig into Ultimate Power number 4 and see what faces Land decides to use this time.
Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Linkara's gonna teach you all a lesson you won't learn. Brodsky, you're not the smartest. Life out, you're not an artist. Anyone who's had a bad comic published, it could be your turn. Linkara, he's a man punch, wears a birdie hat. Linkara, he has a magic gun. Where'd he purchase that? Linkara. Robots, Amazon and trucks, Linkara. This comic sucks, Linkara.
While we're reading from a trade, if the other episodes are anything to go by, it's probably going to be a shorter episode, so might as well look at the cover. It's actually fairly decent compositionally, featuring a battered Reed Richards in shadow up front, his arms locked in high-tech handcuffs, which admittedly look like they came off of an industrial typewriter, but still, while 4 Supreme Power characters stand behind him in the light, passing judgment on him. Man, everyone is giving Reed the thumbs down. How bad a reality show contestant could he be? Admittedly, this cover might have a little more impact if these were people Reed actually knew and cared about, but it's still good regardless. After the recap page, we open with, well, a direct first sighting of Greg Land's tracing. How do I know? Because the Wasp up there has the exact same face as Power Princess from the cover. Did Greg Land hope that we would forget what the cover looks like in the time it would take to flip 2 pages? Or in the case of the trade, from left to right? So anyway, we pick up right where we left off last time. And by that, I mean the last issue ended with the heroes asking Nick Fury, "What's the plan?" And he held up a gun and proclaimed, "I'm thinking about it." While this one has those lines, only now everyone's crowded around Nick Fury, who is neither holding up a gun nor looking at everyone else, with everyone else now looking at something besides him. How do you screw up the continuity of one issue to the next when it's the same writer and artist? At least Countdown had the excuse of multiple creators not being able to keep things straight. And yes, I am still citing Countdown this many years later. Unlike this comic, I can remember stuff that happened before. So, what are we looking at? The implication is supposed to be that everyone's looking at Spidey, except clearly everyone is looking above him. Like, you can't match the eye lines at all. Anyway, what are they looking at with such awe and reverence? Or in the Wasp's case, dull surprise? The S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier. Yeah, not being familiar enough with the Ultimate Universe to know whether or not its appearance here is meant to be such a big deal or not. But regardless, Nick Fury justifies its presence. With Reed's equipment damaged, we need to move fast. The helicarrier will take a strike team to whoever can show us how to follow Reed. Nick? Into whichever dimension the others took him. Nick? Mr. Fury? Nicky Poo? Nicky Poo? Sorry, that was my subtle way of telling you I need to go to the bathroom. Just, what the hell is this scene? Why is Spidey interrupting Nick Fury? He says it's because he needed to get his attention to tell him his idea to use Thor to transport them to the Supreme Power universe. Here's the problem, though. Nick Fury hadn't said that he didn't know how to transport them to their universe yet. Spidey interrupted to offer a solution to a problem before anyone said it was going to be a problem. Oh sure, Nick implied that they didn't know by saying, whoever can show us how to follow Reed, but why didn't he just wait for him to stop talking before suggesting it? See, when I saw you looking up and we were all looking up and I looked up, I thought we were all looking at the same thing, but what is your point? I wasn't looking at the helicarrier. I was looking at him. I mean, I am a teenager under this mask. Isn't he just a heartthrob? Holy crap land! I know Peter's still a teenager in this continuity, but I'm pretty sure at this point his head should not be so tiny compared to Thor's. Thor still just resembles a very strong-looking dude in this continuity. Why is it you could fit 2 Spider-Mans inside of him? You're the god of thunder, right? Verily. So I'm guessing that hammer of yours, Mjolnir. Mjolnir? Majogner? Mjolnir. How do you spell that? Well, in English, you spell it MJ. Oh, for the love of God, would you shut up and move on already? Anyway, Mjolnir has the ability to take Thor anywhere, and since the energy trail for the Squadron Supreme is still fresh, they can open up a dimensional portal and follow them to their Earth. Good idea. Get smart. Makes sense to me. You're standing on my foot. Sorry. So what are we waiting for? How did he spell that?
Get on with it.
Yes, get on with it!
Fury got owned. How? Did we turn over 2 pages at once? How did he own him? And who gives a crap right now if he was or not? Why do you people care? Why am I even reading this? Spidey's got a point, Nick. He has a suggestion. Why are they pretending this is him showing up Nick Fury when it's just him being helpful? So what is Fury's reaction to this? And once Thor opens the dimensional portal, we're gonna need the helicarrier to get everyone to the other side, aren't we? Yes, sir. So I was right, wasn't I? Yes, sir. Right about what? There wasn't any argument. Is there some special edition of this comic that includes the deleted scenes that explain this exchange? Anyway, with everyone coming on board the helicarrier, they get to work. Can you pick up the energy signature, Thor? Verily! What's his deal with verily all the time? Shut up! Alright then, we've got everything buckled down, and some things webbed down. I said shut up! And I'm saying it too! Enough with the completely useless babbling in this issue! We'd be there by now if not for it! Thor warns them that the energy of the hammer might be too much for them to take, asking if they still want to proceed. But Fury gives it a go-ahead. Then let the heavens be torn asunder. Let us be carried by lightning and storm. Let the world fall asunder. The sky be ripped away. And this world be left behind. See, now if the superfluous dialogue was more like a thunder god ripping a hole in the space-time continuum into another universe, then I wouldn't have much to complain about. Mind you, the awesomeness is kind of undercut by the next page, immediately showing a very traced Thor traveling through the portal with the helicarrier behind him, but still, credit where credit is due. I wonder where Thor was traced from originally. A wrestler, maybe? I don't know. Over in the Supreme Hour Earth, the military leaders have already figured out that if the Ultimate Universe was able to casually send interdimensional probes out, they probably have a way of following them back to their Earth, and they need to be prepared for another incursion. Fortunately for them, they have Hyperion standing guard in orbit. Reed is, of course, working on finding a way to fix this catastrophe, and has a theory on what the biomass is. The cellular structure is similar to a spore I've discovered on other extra-dimensional expeditions, but it was a simple one-celled organism, biologically inert. Wait, it's a spore doing something nonsensical? We are actually dealing with a new spore of madness? My only guess is that as it passed through the interdimensional rift, the energy surrounding the probe interacted somehow with the spores, which hitchhiked onto the probe as it passed through them, sped up their evolutionary process so that when they got here, and then, well, do they have moldy jello in this universe? Reed asks how many people have died thanks to this, and another official says they estimated in the tens of millions, much to his horror. I was sure I'd compensated for this possibility. I took every precaution to guarantee that nothing organic could adhere to the probe's skin and avoid contamination. I don't understand. Hey man, it happens. Mildew can strike when you least expect it. That's why I trust Vincent Price with this stuff.
Spray on Tilex Instant Mildew Stain Remover, and mildew stains vanish with no scrubbing. Try Tilex and escape the torture of scrubbing.
With them is Dr. Emil Burbank, the Squadron Supreme version of Lex Luthor. Question, Reed. I've always wondered what it must feel like to kill millions of people all at once. Since I'm never gonna have the chance to meet a Hitler or a Stalin, I was wondering if you could tell me what it's like to—
Newbie, if the next two words out of your mouth aren't "see you," then the third word will be, "Oh my God, my crotch, you've punched me in the crotch."
By the way, spoilers in case you cared, the guy who is transparently evil and would love to ask dictators what it's like to murder millions of people is one of the real villains of this story, so this question is in reality more superfluous dialogue. I mean, given what we later learn in Ultimate Power about the guy and his part in this, it just makes me wonder why they didn't help set up that reveal other than, so who else has got a murder boner right now? Reed is, of course, pissed at him, ironic given what apparently happens to the poor kid in the Ultimate Universe, but Reed has been set up with electrical devices that Burbank can use to shock him if he tries to escape. Now, as I was saying, before you're put on trial and convicted of crimes against humanity and introduced to a far more powerful jolt of electricity than the one I just showed you, tell me, how do we stop that stuff from adding even more numbers to your already quite astonishing body count? That's what you were gonna ask Hitler and Stalin? I don't know, just seems like they wouldn't care all that much about it. Reed says he honestly doesn't know how to fix this and naturally is breaking down a bit as a result. Fortunately, the cavalry is almost there. On board the helicarrier, they page Nick Fury, but he's not answering. As such, Captain America sends Shadowcat to go look for him. She finds him, phasing through walls to do so. By the way, nice slight ass shot of the teenage girl land. Admittedly, we've seen worse underage panty shots in comics, but one has to question why she was drawn in this way to do so in the first place. Also, randomly phasing through walls seems like kind of a bad idea here, especially when you're in the middle of a dimensional tunnel and could wind up phasing out of the ship. Anyway, she finally finds him inside of an odd room, talking to someone in shadows. I'll talk about this room in a moment, but first, dialogue. You're sure Richard suspects nothing? Affirmative. So we're gonna go in, get him, clean this up, and get the hell out before any of this can bounce back on us. And I'm absolutely certain they can't follow us back to our own reality like they've done once before because, well, it isn't very well written. He also mentions that they can't let Reed take a close look at any of the probes because he's smart enough to recognize what he and the mysterious figure did to them. But enough about that, let's talk about this room. Nick Fury is in some secret room talking with some mysterious person whom we don't see in this issue. Well, I can see why he'd want to hide someone in this space. After all, no one else in S.H.I.E.L.D. can be allowed to learn that this is where he records his Star Trek fan films, because this room is the bridge of the Enterprise-E! Seriously, take a look! That's what it is! Behold, Greg Land, who couldn't draw a fricking wall without tracing it! Fury walks out of the room to find Kitty standing there. She says Cap sent her to find him. Come on, let's get to the bridge. But you just left the bridge!
2 bridges?
Even Kitty is confused by this. Look at her turning around and staring at it as they walk away.
Ship has 1 bridge. 1 bridge!
Over in Supreme Powerland, Power Princess has decided to be traced as she goes to visit Hyperion. Having not read Supreme Power before, I looked it up, and she apparently might have a thing about wanting to conquer the Earth, and her and Hyperion are together, but beyond that, I don't know much, so I don't know how out of character this is for her. My love, they do not see you as we do. A star, compressed beyond imagination, needing only a single spark to light the fire. And then... arson! It will be beautiful. We will be beautiful. Oh, Power Princess, you're already traced from someone pretty. Do not open your eyes, my love, but continue to listen. Nice save to cover up that he didn't draw someone whose eyes were open. Listen to those that crawl across the broken rind of the world below, denied flight, denied the sky, denied the stars. Listen. What do you hear? Well, I hear a woman who can talk in space. What's up with that? Basically, her spiel is that he should let most of humanity be killed by the biomass and only save those willing to let him save them, aka together they can rule the galaxy or whatever. Before he can answer her, Hyperion spots the arriving helicarrier. Now, you might think that this is hinting at some sort of betrayal by Hyperion against his world, or maybe Power Princess decides to let people die and turn her into a full-fledged villain. But you would be wrong, because nothing comes of this. At all, which makes this scene... So yeah, Thor and the helicarrier emerge from a portal. I don't know, every time I see one of Greg Land's male characters in the screamy face like this one, I just imagine them making that weird yell from the Garzy's Wing DVD. Fury tells the group to get ready, since it's likely they'll be detected quickly, but one of the S.H.I.E.L.D. officers, who looks like he may be diseased or something given the splotchy coloring, proclaims that they may not even have time for that. And so our comic ends with a splash page showing Hyperion about to collide with Thor. Wouldn't it be nice if they hit each other, exploded, and then we were spared the rest of this series? One can dream. This comic sucks! We're almost at the halfway point of this series, and it has proceeded at a snail's pace. This issue did not help matters, especially when so much of it was dedicated to padding. If the scene between Hyperion and Power Princess is in character for them, then it does nothing to advance them as characters, nor does it really give us any further insight into them. It's just wasting time. The opening bits of dialogue are just as useless, since it feels like we're missing parts of it. The only things that actually happen in this issue are the Ultimate Universe heroes traveling to the Supreme Power Universe, and Reed Richards speculating about what caused all this. And he's wrong, by the way. The best bit is Reed reflecting on just how catastrophic a mistake he's made. It's solid stuff, but that's the only thing of substance in this crap. The dialogue is trite and frustrating. The artwork gets worse the more you recognize the same repeated bits of tracing that Greg Land does nothing with to make it any more compelling than the last 50 times he used it. Why they stretched this thing to 9 issues confuses me when they haven't even made one issue compelling so far is anyone's guess. Next time, Patreon-sponsored review time, as we explore a recently translated manga called Delicious in Dungeon that...
What's going on?
Intruder alarm back home. It's the one I personally set up. Which means... Of course. Get in touch with Saris. I'll need her coordination on this. Right, I've gained access to the ground-based systems. I'm uploading the virus now. Should slow him down considerably. I'll just hurry it up already. Can't stick around here in case he... Aw, hell, we're made! Ah, he's got the force fields back up! Got it! Now let's get out of... Dudes, come on! They're getting away! Tell her to work faster!
She's trying as fast as she can.
I'll do it myself! Hang on, dudes! Oh, excellent move! The pawns are out of reach.
What?
Temporary setback. But the rooks are already on the move. What? Still in the same place. It's a temporary pocket dimension. It'll collapse in a few hours, but it allows us to move in and out freely without anyone noticing. Good lord, who calibrated that teleport? Feels like my insides took a weekend in Vegas.
Clearly the problem is your own weak constitution.
Whoa, dude, no! You better explain what the hell is going on here and why you're working with the Buckethead!
We owe you nothing. You were just rescued because of your own poor planning. You should have anticipated additional defenses that he would have installed after your departure.
Both of you calm down. We're all in this together.
90s kid, we were against Linkara because he was crossing lines we were not willing to, but you've been working with this jerkwad for months, maybe years! And I think it's high time you owe us an explanation!
You don't know? Oh, dudes, I thought you would have suspected by now.
Suspected what?
I went to the future, guys. I saw what happens. I know what's going on with Linkara.
Cheap, stupid force field technology! Primitive garbage taken from that tin-plated dictator! With the technology at my fingertips, I can do so much better. I will do so much better.
Yeah, I'll have Sarah scan the area where they teleported out. Maybe they left a trace.
She was pitiful, a worthless piece on the board among the others.
Excuse me? That's my friend you're talking about! If you want my help, then you better apologize right now!
The pawns do not get to speak for the players in this game.
Pawns? Players? This isn't a game!
No, human! This is a game! And it's one I intend to